welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be my very first time rock tumbling. So this is the rock tumbler that I purchased. I think it was about $150 in total, and it comes with everything you need to get the process rolling. This is also a double tumbler, so it does come with two of those barrels that you can see. So essentially you can tumble more rocks at one time. So this is how you assemble the barrels. They have this screw on top, which also acts as something to hold the barrels in place when they're on the roller. You have a washer, the top lid, and then this lid, which actually sits inside of the barrel. That keeps a really nice seal so everything stays in place and doesn't make a big mess when it starts tumbling. And the barrel itself is actually like a soft rubber. And then these are the different grits that they give you for step 1, which is coarse grit, step 2, which is medium grit, step 3, which is a pre-polish, and step 4, which is a final polish. So each stage lasts about 7 to 10 days, and you're going to use each of these when the time comes. And this is Rock Tumbler Abrasive Medium. This is essentially used for when your rocks lose a little bit of their volume from being tumbled. You need something to fill in that extra space in the barrel, so you'll use this. So now it is time to go look for some rocks. So once you have enough rocks to fill 2/3 of your tumbler barrel, you are going to wash them in some warm water and Dawn dish soap. This is just what I saw other people do that were rock tumbling, so I am also doing that because I really have no idea what I'm doing. So here I am just washing all of them, and I actually took a lot of before videos, which I will include at the very end of this video, as well as the after video, so you can see how different the rocks actually look after being tumbled. Once all of your rocks are in your barrel, you're going to add step 1, which is this coarse grit. It actually looks like gunpowder, and it's really pretty. It's like a very fine, sparkly powder. And then you're going to add water, just enough water so there's still a little bit of the top of the rock sticking out, just barely. And then you're going to add all your pieces to your tumbler. This part is really important. You want everything to be in the correct place, as well as super secure and tight. So now I am putting my barrels onto the tumbler. In stage 1, you leave them for 7 to 10 days. I left mine for about 10 days just because I had a lot of rocks with harsh edges that I knew needed to be rounded out. You want to make sure that you check your tumbler after a few minutes just to make sure that nothing's leaking and that everything is sealed. And during stage 1, you're supposed to check your rocks every day. You want to make sure that the muddy substance that they're in isn't too thick. They have some fancy name for whatever they call it, but I'll just call it like slosh or something. But mine is watery enough. I mean, if it's too thick, you just have to add a little bit of water and put it back on the tumbler. So after stage 1 is complete, you're going to dump out your entire barrel, and you can see here I'm using a strainer into a gallon bucket or a 5-gallon bucket. That's because this stuff will clog your drains. When this stuff dries out, it actually turns into like a cement substance. And so once I'm done rinsing off my rocks, I'll just go pour this some spot in the yard where I know the dogs won't get it or it won't like you know, affect nature or anything. You know what I mean? So these are what my rocks look like. They're wet right now, so obviously they look shiny, but here's a better video of them when they're kind of like more mattified. They're not shiny at all. Stage 1 and 2 are really for just buffing out those edges and cracks and holes and everything. So here's what they look like. Before I move on to stage 2, I like to put them in the barrel with a little bit of Dawn dish soap, like the smallest drop, and some warm water, and let them tumble for about an hour, and you'll be surprised at how gross this water is when it comes out. You really don't want to mix up any of grit 1 with grit 2, grit 2 with grit 3, and so on and so forth. So you just saw that nasty water that came out after tumbling these in some soapy water for a little bit. And so step 2 is exactly the same as step 1. You want to add a little bit of water, enough to cover, just barely cover the top of the rocks with still some sticking out. You're going to add your grit 2 powder, and then this is actually where that media comes into play, the plastic media. You can see how much room there is because the rocks have lost a lot of their density. So that's what you're going to use that media for, is to replace any of the lost volume from the rocks. You can see in some of these videos that the media is sticking to everything, so I don't recommend the plastic. I recommend the ceramic media, which I'm going to be purchasing for my next tumbling process. But here we are for stage 2, and I will see you in 10 days. So it has been 10 days, so stage 2 is done. I'm dumping out my barrels here. You can see just how dirty and sloshy everything got. My actual medium that used to be white, you can see now is stained black, which I thought was crazy. But my rocks are perfectly tumbled and ready to enter the polishing phases, which I'm so excited about. I think that this is where you really get to see your rocks kind of come together and shine and see all their fun little details and everything. What you've seen me do before is just add a little bit of water to each barrel once they're fully cleaned out, and just put them on the tumbler for 15 minutes, a half an hour to kind of clean them really well, because you don't want to mix up any of like stage 2 grit with stage 3 grit and with all the other grits as well. So I did that. You could see the difference of how dirty the water got. But now we are preparing for stage 3, which is pre-polish, and I actually combined all the rocks in one barrel because, like I've mentioned, after you tumble them a couple times, they do lose a lot of their density, which means they get much smaller. So I just put them all in here so I could start a new batch in my other tumbler. A little bit of medium, but I only did this just to add a cushion. I wasn't really sure how much it needed. And then we are getting ready for stage 2, and I believe, or not stage 2, stage 3, and I believe that stage 3 is only 7 days. So I will see you guys after stage 3. So stage 3 is complete, and we are moving on to stage 4, which is the final stage. I'm so excited to see these rocks fully polished. Some of them are mine, some of them are the ones that the kit sent me. So there's a lot of different colors going on here, so I'm super excited. So I'm just rinsing them off real good. I'm going to do the same thing that I did in the other stages, just add some water and let them tumble for a little bit to get that grit off. Look at all that dirty water. And that's something that would have mixed in with stage 4 grit. So that just proves how well just tumbling for a little bit with some water works. So here I'm adding stage 4 grit. I'm actually putting it in first and then the rocks and water and everything on top. I just think that this works better than what I was doing before by putting this in as the last step, which you saw me do in the other steps. But this works much better. This powder made some sort of like milky water. So this is going to go for about 7 days, and I will see you after stage 4. So here is the final results. I made sure that I filmed before and after videos so you can see just how crazy the transformations are of these rocks. I will say I think I did a pretty good job for my first time tumbling, but it's not perfect at all. I don't think that these are polished to their full capacity. I didn't even show you guys, but what I did is polish them again. Like I did a whole nother round of stage 3 and 4 because they weren't polishing. But I think every time I didn't add enough powder or grit, and I also didn't add like the right amount of water. I think I did way too much water. But anyway, this was pretty good, I'd say, for a first time ever tumbling. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and following me along this little journey that I'm starting. I know I'm not very good at it yet, but I'm hoping to get much better, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.